a box for my dial caliper. It's in pretty sad shape. The latch broke to begin with, then the hinges broke, and so I've just got it together with duct tape. So I think I'm going to build a new one. I got this wood I milled a while back. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know there's a mulberry tree growing near where this was cut, and since that tree is growing in the same area, I'm thinking that that's what this is. I believe it's a mulberry. Now I got to figure out how to get the most out of the little bit of lumber that I've got. My plan is to resaw all these pieces to a 1/2 inch in the orientation that I've got them here. That'll leave them thick enough that I can mill the blade marks off of them and still have enough to work with. Well, my remodeling work's picking up. Not going to have much time to be goofing off in the wood shop for a while. Hopefully I can get this little box wrapped up pretty quick in my off hours. So I've got my pieces marked with little triangles to show the direction that they glue together. Clamp this thing up. Go make me a cup of coffee and take the rest of the day off. My tiling job yesterday kind of whipped me. Alright, I've had enough for today. I'm going to wash out my brush and pack it up. Mitered this piece on the table saw, but it's so short, the little cutoff piece, I don't know, got bound up by the blade, kicked back a little bit, and the blade gouged this end. So rather than take a chance on ruining my pieces, I'm just going to use a sander to miter them. Got all the pieces mitered. This actually goes pretty quick with this coarse sandpaper on here. This method works pretty well, but if you're going to use one of these small sanders to do this, draw you some good reference lines on there because it's easy to go wrong. The miter gauge has some slop in it, and the table itself is not super sturdy. As long as you've got reference lines on there so you can see what you're doing, then you'll be fine. I'm going to start off with my picture frame clamp, hopefully get everything square, and then once I get the lid on, I'm going to try these squeeze clamps and maybe some F clamps too. The idea is when the glue is set, I'm going to come back with a bandsaw and saw these in half to make the case similar to the original. Alright, I'm going to let that dry for a while, go wash out my little brush, and get back to it. Got my case out of the clamps. It's looking pretty good. Got a little bit of glue squeeze out. I need to shave off here. And I'm going to give it a sanding, see if I can get rid of some of this joiner tear out. And then I'm going to slice it in half on the bandsaw. So I actually have a lid and a bottom instead of a block. The joiner tear out's a little too much to deal with using a palm sander. So I'm going to try using my belt sander. The belt's not really wide enough, and I had to take the table off because the table runs up so high that it's not tall enough. So I don't know how this is going to work, but I got to do something to get it a little smoother. It's just looking too rough. So the block that's destined to be a box sanded out pretty nice on the bench top belt sander. I was kind of worried that the box being too wide for the sander might wind up messing it up, making it uneven, but it didn't. It came out good. I got a little tear out in this end. I'm not sure where that came from, but it was on here before I started sanding, so it might have happened when I was cutting, I don't know. But I'm going to just use some sandpaper and round over these edges. Normally I would use my router table and round over a bit, but I'm kind of scared of this wood when it comes to using any kind of cutting tools. So I think doing it by hand is probably the best solution. Switch the bandsaw over from Darkstone 2 TPI log milling blade to a 4 TPI Olson blade because I want to get a finer cut on this box. 2 TPI is just too coarse for what I'm doing here. Had a little bit of drift on the bandsaw blade. I'm going to try smoothing it out with just a piece of hand sandpaper. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but I want to try that so I can do the whole thing at once and not have to slide it back and forth across the belt sander. I think this hand sander might work now that I've modified my procedure and clamped my paper down where I can use both hands. It takes a lot of effort to take off a 32nd of an inch hand sanding, but I got it. The two halves of the box are fitting together good and tight. It's pretty good all the way around. I can't hold it quite right, but so I'm going to finish rounding over the top, put a tiny round over on the bottom, and slap some hinges on this thing. I gotta put the tunnel on after I get the hinges on. Okay, I'm just finishing up the round over. Did the main portion of it with 120 and came back and cleaned it up with some 220. It's looking pretty good. Give it a light top and bottom, 220. All right, now I'm gonna dig out some hinges and get them mounted. Yeah, my hinge is taped in place because they're so small and light. I don't want to bump them. Get them out of place. I got each one set 1.5 inches from the end of the box. I'm getting ready to drill some screw holes. All right. Get this thing out of the vise. Not bad. When I was searching for the hinges, I was looking for a latch, but apparently I don't have one. Thought I did, but guess not. And I don't feel like making one, so I'm gonna get some tunnel on this and call it done for now. I'll probably stop and grab one tomorrow on the way home from work. Okay, so I wanted to put the dial caliper in here before I put the tunnel on. This is a little bit wider than the original case. Not much, but it's a little bit bigger in both directions. I may get some more foam that fits better, but just wanted to try that out and see. Yeah, it closes up just as good as the original. Really brings out the color. I don't know if it will stay this yellow or if it will go ahead and keep turning and get to be a darker brown. I've heard that's what mulberry does. It won't stay yellow. But I don't know. I'm not positive that this is mulberry. I think it is, but I really don't know for sure. Alright, this been soaking for a few minutes. I'll buff it off. Well, it's right purty if you ask me. Much nicer than the old plastic case.